news and talk, information and opinion.
This is News Talk.
This is News Talk, KCRS.
Good morning. Welcome to your morning drive. News Talk 550, KCRS. It is the voice of West Texas. I'm Chris Moore.
And over at the news desk, I'm Spencer Bennett. Good morning.
It is Tuesday, so joining us in studio this morning, not having to work the ER, we've got Dr. Richard Bartlett. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Spencer.
Good morning.
Man, it's good to be in Texas.
I know it is. I thank my lucky stars each and every evening. We're so glad that you're joining us this morning. Okay, so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start, so I'm just going to throw it to you.
So,
what do you got?
My phone started buzzing yesterday because a study was reported about COVID deaths. Looking back at the COVID deaths,
right.
Northwestern, Catherine Gao is one of the researchers that found that she reports that nearly half of the people who died from COVID actually died from a secondary bacterial pneumonia. And so I started getting calls because I'm going to race down to Austin and back tomorrow to do interviews about. That's what you said when no one else said that.
Oh, imagine that.
So, yes, we knew for the last 40 years that the biggest risk for bacterial pneumonia is a respiratory viral infection.
Mm-hmm.
But, January 1, 2020, everything had to be rewritten and redefined, and literally definitions were changed of immunity, immunizations, vaccines, vaccinations. All kinds of things were changed, and it was like all the textbooks got thrown out the window. Nobody told me that. And so I was still thinking old school.
Oh,
and so
what were you thinking?
That's what everybody was saying. What are you thinking?
Yes,
but
sir.
That's why we gave clarithromycin, the antibiotic, to protect from walking pneumonia, atypical bacteria, and strep pneumonia, which is the main cause of traditional pneumonia. Anywho, that's one story.
Now you've gotten phone calls from all these people
Yes.
apologizing, right?
Oh, not those calls. I didn't get those calls.
What?
But anywho,
They're not apologizing?
if they are, I just haven't heard it.
Maybe
But I've been
missed
pretty
that.
busy.
Yeah, you have been.
And that might be the situation.
You're
Could
just
be.
not answering your phone, sir. They're lining up to apologize.
But other big news is, in Sudan, it's a war zone in
Yes,
Sudan.
sir. Yes, sir.
And some reports say there's 8 separate warring factions. And, it was, I think, the 27th of last month, which isn't very long ago, about 3 weeks ago, that a bioweapons, or I'm going to say a biolab, it just happened to have things that could be really dangerous to people in
that
the
could
lab.
be used as a weapon.
In a war zone.
Yeah, I mean, if I have a
so-
house and I have guns in my house, then that would be considered an armed house. You would probably say the same thing about a lab.
Yeah, so originally they listed 5 or 6 different biological agents that were in that facility.
Right.
And then it got taken over. And so there was a huge alert by the WHO, by the UN, by everybody else saying, this is bad, this is really bad, we don't know who took it, and we don't know where it is. And the things that they did report was cholera, which is a disaster, which can it's waterborne. It can be spread to a whole population. And that got dropped from the list in subsequent stories. Every day, the list is getting shorter and shorter, and this is kind of being suppressed and trying to.
We did the story about a week ago, but we haven't seen any kind of an update. So I'm glad
giving you the update. Yeah,
I'm glad you're here.
And so, actually, this is a story. If people want to know what the news is, they need to listen to the Morning Drive at KCRS.
We give it
and
our
they kind of
best.
get the first. But there's another source, AmericanFaith.com, that's free online, and so they have a story today about that.
What does it say, Doctor?
That I helped write, and it says that also measles was also one of the things that they had in the facility, and so it's not just a person with measles. They had it in test tubes. They had it ready to be carried out, ready to go, and somebody took it. And so 2 days after the measles disappears from Sudan, we have 10 measles cases in the United States all of a sudden.
Came
I'm
across
just saying,
the border, maybe.
Coincidence.
Who knows?
So measles, cholera, polio, and so you might say, why would you have polio? Ain't good. It's a
It's kind of a bad
neurologic
thing.
disorders, and it. So and original reports had some other things that were even more concerning, but the list has gotten shorter and shorter of things that
Are they just trying to hide it, possibly?
I think they
so that whenever you do have a quote measles outbreak, they can't go, oh, by the way, I remember now, Sudan is missing measles.
Details. Anyways, that's also in the news, and so you got to say. Fortunately, in West Texas, everybody has common sense, and they have a long attention span. And so we don't forget something from 2 weeks ago.
That's right.
And
now, from the news reports that I've seen and some other sources, we have, and I'm just going to say, biolabs around the world, possibly up to 300. We know we have over maybe 40 that we had in Ukraine. And now, evidently, we had at least one in Sudan that somebody got into, and now we're seeing outbreaks of some of the stuff they had.
That reminds me.
I'm just kind of drawing stuff together here.
So there was something that was on that list.
Yeah.
That starts with an E that I remembered, and then it got dropped from the list, and then a report yesterday says absolutely Ebola could not have been in that lab because it would have been illegal for it to be in that lab because you got to have a level 4 lab for it to be there. And so obviously, therefore, it couldn't be there because nothing illegal ever happens in Sudan, a war zone.
Yeah.
So
rhymes with canola.
Do we know what level they were? What level?
Well, in the stories that are coming out yesterday saying that was impossible for that to happen because it's not a level 4 lab and that would be illegal. They said it's a 2 to 3.
Oh, okay.
And so in the BBC, they reported that lab was raided April 26th, but as of April 28th, just 2 days later, there were 10 measles cases in the U.S. reported nationwide all of a sudden, including first one in Maine, since 2019. So we hadn't had one case in Maine since 2019. And that case in Maine occurred in someone who was already vaccinated. Oh, wait a minute. Vaccine means we're protected from...
Should be.
And so, they're treating this person as though they're infectious, meaning it could cause an outbreak. So... this is the only case in Maine, and this is happening in a person who is fully vaccinated to measles and being treated as infectious, meaning that person could potentially lead to an outbreak if they were not kept quarantined and kept under isolation.
Is it a different strain of measles, obviously?
So, therefore... that would be a logical. Chris, you ought to be a doctor.
I know one.
I'm just saying,
we're analysts here. We just kind of
you guys
connect
got
the
common
dots.
sense and all that stuff that's not allowed anymore.
It's just
in
crazy
other parts
talk,
of the world.
doctor, because our borders are secure.
So how do other strains come about? Maybe naturally, but maybe if they had them in a lab, but that would be ridiculous to have measles in a lab. Right.
Why? Why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
And cholera and polio.
Because
and some other things that I'm not going to say.
Nobody's ever heard of gain of function. That's never...
It also originally was reported to have SARS-CoV-2 in that lab. What? Do you have SARS-CoV-2? What could possibly go wrong with that
having all
in
those
a lab,
diseases
in a war zone?
And only a level 2.
3 years later. Oh, yeah,
Yes,
good point. Because it was only supposed to be in a level
2.
4.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
interesting.
Whose watch is this happening on? Wait a minute. Whose watch is this happening on? Is Dr. Tedros in charge of the WHO? That guy who's actually not an American citizen, who does he care about West Texas?
Is he a medical doctor?
He's not a doctor, a chiropractor, a pharmacist, a lab tech, a phlebotomist.
It's obvious that we voted this guy in with no qualifications.
Right, that's right. He's not elected. And at the end of this month, when they talk about that treaty, quote-unquote treaty, between the WHO and all the 200 countries, and they're wanting the United States to be under the thumb of the WHO.
Yes, sir.
That guy overturned 9 experts' opinions that were giving that were virologists and epidemiologists and all these experts saying the monkeypox is not a worldwide pandemic. He says, I know what you're saying, but I don't believe you. And he overrode all of that and called it a worldwide crisis with monkeypox. Remember how bad that is right now?
Had all the
vaccines. Wait a minute, it isn't that bad.
Right.
Now, did he go to an event in the Netherlands or something, and then monkeypox became a crisis for him? It's a question.
Okay,
it's a question.
We are just about out of time, so a couple of quick things. What do you know the date that they're going to be voting on the WHO taking control of all?
It's the end of the month.
Sometime the end of the month.
Yeah, the last several days of this month. And then, interestingly, the one spot legally that will be protected, the one safe haven on the whole stinking planet,
Washington, D.C.?
No, is Florida. And
Yeah.
so
Really?
Ron DeSantis,
Yes, he did.
they got a law passed saying that we're not going to be under the thumb and we're going to not giving up our sovereignty, and we're not letting our people in our state
Good for him.
be at the mercy of a guy who's not medically trained, that's not that will override all the expert advice that he could get and be the one person that could declare something a worldwide emergency, and then you have the UN through the WHO dictating medical care for your family and your neighbors. And in Florida, it'll be enacted June 1st, right after the vote for the WHO.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, Greg Abbott, hint.
Okay, we got to take a break. It's time for us to go into our Sean Hannity Morning Minute, but Dr. Bartlett, thank you for being here this morning.
It's so
always
good to be here today.
keeping us updated. It's good to see your smiling face. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Like I said, it's time for your Sean Hannity Morning Minute, your Fox News, your TSN Sports, and we'll be right back here with your morning drive. News Talk 550 KCRS. It is the voice of West Texas.
West Texas' greatest listeners listen here.